Over the weekend, the world gained access to The Elder Scrolls Blades, Bethesda's second crack at the mobile scene following 2015's Fallout Shelter.
That's how we build a brighter future together.
It's an interesting time for mobile releases, as some of our favourite studios attempt to capitalise on a lucrative market without alienating the fans who are passionate about their franchises.
Is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
When Bethesda announced last year that they planned to bring their hugely successful Elder Scrolls series to mobile, the response was understandably mixed.
It is called The Elder Scrolls Blades.
There were cries of elation from a crowd of fans just happy to hear mention of the series in any form. There were chuckles and the many rolling of eyes thanks to the long-running joke of playing a Skyrim-like game on another device, helped of course by the self-deprecating nature of the developers.
Oh, that's cool.
And there was of course an undercurrent of doubt and skepticism, manifested as awkward silences and ripple claps, as some felt the credibility of their beloved Bethesda slowly starting to waver.
This is an Elder Scrolls game that you can play however and wherever you want.
Now, almost a full year later, we finally have the opportunity to venture into a pocket-sized Elder Scrolls adventure with an early access version of Blades. You play one of the last existing Blades, an agent of the Empire who returns from exile to find your home destroyed. This sets up what is essentially a town builder that requires you to venture out and collect resources to help rebuild, upgrade, and repopulate your little slice of Cyrodiil. Town upgrading is a pretty common central mechanic in mobile games, and it's effective because it gives players a growing sense of satisfaction as they make the place their own. I think it's particularly nice in Blades because you're able to walk the streets and watch the town go from ruin to riches in first person. Acquiring the materials you need means heading out on bloody, combat-heavy adventures through procedurally generated dungeons. Don't, however, expect to lose yourself in Cyrodiil's rolling green hills or Skyrim's frozen tundras. Blades instead teleports you from your walled homestead to its various adventure maps. While each area is quite beautifully designed, they appear to be made up of room modules which are all linked by procedural pathways. By your second visit to an area, you're already recognising rooms, which is a bit world-breaking. It's an understandable limitation of the platform, but it is still disappointing just how quickly you're treading the same old ground. Early adventures have you recovering key townsfolk like blacksmiths and apothecaries from the clutches of evil people and creatures, but the concept quickly distills into grinding for mats. The biggest scores of materials are found inside chests, or given as rewards for completing quests or leveling up your character, but you do still get drip-fed loot from environmental finds and defeated enemies. The basic combat is a timed mechanic of holding and releasing the screen to swipe your weapon. You can then combo these attacks by alternating the side of the screen you're attacking from. Then there's the block mechanic, which allows you to reduce or nullify incoming damage and, correctly timed, throw the enemy off balance to give you a window to strike in. On top of this, you become more effective in battle as you upgrade your character's weapons and armor, and as you level up you earn skill points which can be spent on skill trees to customize the way you play. Spells consume mana and perform various elemental attacks and buffs, abilities consume stamina and open up more maneuvers in sword and board combat, and perks act as passive buffs to your damage, resistances, and some other useful stats. All in all, I'd say the combat is simple but satisfying. It takes a while to get challenging, but the timing of the strikes, blocks, spells, and abilities make it rewarding enough. There's a little more challenge to be found in the Abyss, an endless dungeon crawler which rewards you increasingly better mats, gold, and chests as you make your way down to your inevitable demise. The other mode, which looks promising, is a PvP arena, which is still locked in the early access release. Outside of strategy games, we haven't seen a lot of good PvP on mobile. I'm looking at you, Pokemon Go. Of course, all of this gameplay does come at a cost. No surprise to a modern-day mobile gaming audience who know exactly what to expect when they hear the words free-to-play. Although I'd go so far as to say we've almost completely come to terms with things like in-game currencies, timers, and loot boxes, as long as they're implemented with consideration, balanced with gameplay, and never feel malicious or predatory. As the OG purveyors of horse armor tier price gouging, Bethesda's had a pretty rough track record with microtransactions. Sadly, Blades has hopped right back on that over-encumbered mare. Gems are the freemium currency here. Their main use is to speed up the opening of chests and upgrades to the town. And while you're loaded up with them early on, it quickly becomes apparent that you're dealing with a rare commodity. As drops from creeps, they're exceedingly uncommon, and if you're a little fast and loose early on, it won't be long until you're as dry on gems as Thanos at the start of Infinity War. Even this wouldn't be such a big deal if progress wasn't so dependent on opening chests. These are your loot boxes. They've got better gear to help you complete increasingly tougher quests, and all-important mats to help you fix the town, bring in new NPCs, and further the storyline. The more advanced these chests are, the rarer and greater the gear they drop is, but also the longer they take to open. The most common are wooden chests, and these take only 5 seconds to open, while the second tier silver chests take 3 hours to open. You can only have one timer ticking at any given moment, so if you commit to a 6-hour golden chest, the only way to open more is by spending gems. There's also limited slots for chests, and if you exceed your capacity, you either need to ditch some or open them with gems. The only way to expand your chest carrying capacity, you guessed it, spending gems. And these things are exy as. This pretty little sword will set you back around 11 Australian dollars. If you're watching this in the UK, that's almost a whole British pound. Sure, there'll be whales who dive right in, and maybe that is the most profitable market to tap, but they've definitely priced your average public broadcaster salary earner out of the game.
$900 dues to buy us!
They need to make it easier to earn these gems in a legitimately free way. A good way to grind them, maybe in the Abyss, or even just making them less important by rebalancing the timers. Anything to keep me from closing the app in frustration, souring minutes of mobile gameplay. While Blades doesn't feel outrageous amongst its modern mobile gaming peers, I do believe it in its current state is a tough sell to Elder Scrolls loyalists. You're asking fans of one of the most liberating and by cost per hour affordable games to now enter a price and time gated experience, and it's not going to end in Azura's blessing. They need to rework the progression system to be fairer to players, and if they do it right, it shouldn't have to be at the expense of Bethesda's bottom line. Meanwhile, this is one of the most graphically impressive games to hit phones. The core of it is perfect as a mobile experience, and it's clearly been built ground up to sit well on the platform. Quality of life features like the game working perfectly in portrait or landscape, movement and combat systems that allow it to be played with one hand, and to be honest, it's the first time I've actually enjoyed virtual dual sticks without getting all crampy and frustrated. Overall, it's hard not to be excited every time you boot up this condensed take on Tamriel and see such a recognisable series on your phone screen. Sure, it's inevitable that a full port of Skyrim will hit the next line of smartphones, but for now, Blades is a great slice of the Elder Scrolls formula for my pocket. And you know what? That's not so fuss-ro bad. Didn't really work, did it?